Hey guys, hey internet. I haven't been on so long, it's ridiculous. And I've had so much stuff go on in my life. I'm trying to organize all my bits and pieces here to come out and talk to you, which I might have done beforehand because this is not a very professional kind of channel, in case you didn't know that. I just miss talking to you. So here I am. I'm okay. I'm really good. Sunshine, lots of glare on my face from the floor, actually, down there. And so it's summer. It's June. It's Tuesday, 17th today of June, nearly solstice. And we can really tell here in the Netherlands because where we are, it's like 52, 53 degrees or so north of the equator. And what you get is there's like in winter, there's the days are 2/3 dark and 1/3 light, daylight. And in summer, like now, it's the opposite. So you have 2/3 of your 24 hours, so 16 hours of daylight, which is like, and especially evenings and late evenings and early mornings, especially my husband. He wakes a little easier than me. I can sleep anywhere, probably. Well, that is if I'm really doing okay, like now. So I sleep as always, which is great because there's been I have two purposes to come out today, so it'll probably be a witchy check-in. Let me, as usual, because that's what I end up doing if I haven't been out in a while. It's what I feel like doing. All right, I have one of those bendy phone holder thingies, which is why we go a bit like that. It'll stop doing that soonish because no earthquakes. Okay, I just had to turn off the sound on my phone because once now that I've got started finally, I've been thinking of coming back out and talking to you and sort of telling you about what's been going on. Then again, there's so much noise, and in the world, and everything is really stressed out, and there's lots of still people haven't invented peace, world peace as yet, and it seems to be impossible. And I don't really feel like adding my bits and pieces that I care about my life, that I like to share for, just for inspiration or for whatever benefit may come from it, from somebody watching me. I don't want to have that get lost in the noise of all the stress and the distress and the problems. And so that was one reason. The other reason is I have been, so it's June now. I am going to be 59 years old this August, and I am Dutch, so a Dutch national, so I don't really care much about sharing my age on this side of the ocean. I don't know, shouldn't make any pronouncements really, but Dutch people in general tend to be really upfront and straightforward about if that's your age, then that is just, your age. You don't try to look any different. I haven't even put earrings in for my videos. So this is very much off the cuff and natural. This is just me, okay? So it gets more and more to be what I like to think of as my natural self nowadays, where I only do things that I believe in, and I only try to find words for things that really mean something to me more and more over the past couple of years. That's definitely been happening. I've been doing immense amounts of soul searching and trauma healing if possible, and reintegrating of things, and trying to get together fragments of my personality that just got lost in all the trauma and all the noise and all that. So I think that a lot of that is actually starting to really pay off now, more and more. I feel not so much confident as I actually do feel a bit stronger. I feel like it's starting to really work out quite a bit. Also, let me grab a glass of water. Be right back. Okay, I'm just going to leave you here and walk over here and pour me a little water, and you can just hear me do that. And here I am again with my glass of water. No AI involved. I didn't just manifest a virtual glass. This is actually going to go in my gizzard, okay? Lovely. So nice to have clean drinking water. Not completely, you know, it's not like that just happens everywhere in the world. We try to make it happen for people, but let's not go into the whole why is the world such a mess question, okay? Because I can't make any, I can't help you with that. I don't think you can help me with that. I can only work on me. I've been doing a whole lot of work on me, and there's more room for me to be myself these days. How does that work? I've been doing a whole lot of different, there's all these methods that I use. I've been going into methods on my channel over and over. Recently, I don't want to bore you with too many methods. Also have cards to share, and the card thing that I'm working on that I'd like to show you. And I just feel like that's a little more, it's a little less scary also, things like that. So, but I do want to kind of say a little more about how things have been going. It turns out for me, I suppose that one of the conclusions that I've been coming to over the whole healing pathway process and all that is that it's really very personal what works for who, right? I have shared on this channel over the past 5.5 years, a lot less recently, but more in a couple of years ago, different sides of my Tummo practice. So I practice this Kundalini yoga technique that I call Tummo because it's what I have learned it as, from the internet, not from an actual teacher or from an actual history or lineage or like directly. This is something I can do fairly easily. And the practice has helped me immensely because it is an actual energy work. It is one of my best tools, if not the single best tool that I always return to the minute things get difficult for whatever reason. And it means bringing that much more energy into my body, into my whole system, so that whatever problem I have that is actually caused by an energy lack or a blockage can get resolved, and eventually will actually get resolved. So an example of what that means for me, I've had, I suppose, an energy deficiency, if you like, in the right side of my body. It's like there's a whole channel like this wide through my whole body, from this side through my eye and behind my eye and through my throat here into my thymus area and heart chakra, and down into my gut, into my female organs, and down the right side of my leg. So that causes the same sort of deficiency, causes a whole series of different medical and or health issues, depending on how you want to look at it, that I actually have not gone and had diagnosed at all ever, because if you look things up yourself, it turns out that there aren't a lot of solutions for either sciatica, for example, migraines, and lymphatic, troubles and things like that. Or, for that matter, psychological issues that I wrestled more with actually than with physical pain or pressures, which was depersonalization. I still think that if you have to diagnose me, or if I look at myself nowadays and if I diagnose myself with what I have gathered in terms of information around the whole, over years, over a decade really, more and more, I think fundamentally what I have is post-traumatic depersonalization in a way. So that means that I am having to struggle always to be in my body as a complete person in a connection to an environment, to my direct environment even. It is a very common problem, I think. And it is only, so that's why I said earlier that it's personal what helps and what not, what doesn't. The Tummo practice, the Kundalini yoga practice, it's the same thing really, except the technique is a bit different, but it's easier to refer to it as Kundalini yoga as well, because that's a little more familiar in the world as a term than Tummo, okay? In parentheses, all that. I have struggled with the idea whether this is a technique that anybody could use, really, and get reliable, safe results always. I'm not sure, and I do think that there's a lot of people for whom the technique itself would work out, and then they would be confronted in themselves with so much unresolved issues or unresolved stress that you don't know what would happen. So it's not safe to share too much. I still believe that's why I'm doing what I'm doing here is I'm sharing bits of the process if you really want to know more, because this is something that draws you and you feel pulled towards this, like I have been. Then you can find more information about how to do this on my channel. I do think that I have covered, more or less everything there is to know about the process as I use it, the energy process or the practice or the concentration type exercise, etc. But it's something that you have to feel pulled towards. If it's you searching for this track, you will come back to it. It'll take more time. It'll give you a chance to try things out, to practice things a little for yourself, see what happens, come back a month later, la la la. It just takes years. I do think it is a very fabulous and wonderful and effective healing technique. I do think it is like an all heal. It is a panacea that can heal practically anything if applied properly and consistently, diligently, and safely, and if you work with it rather than, struggle with it. But that by itself is just, I'm the living example of how this is not easy to do and how it takes a lot of time and effort and patience, especially also patience with myself, where I'm also going through menopause in quite a significant way. Can you just move there's a fly sitting on my phone because it's hot. So, because we have 30 degrees centigrade around here. So the fly is now warming his little feet on the phone. I'm just scared he's going to walk forward to the camera and all you will see is the belly of the fly. So if that happens, that's what happens. I will tell you about it if it happens. For now, it just looks like he's going to sleep there. So, okay. So just me, okay? Ignore the fly, okay? So, yeah. So, one thing I've suffered from because of this blockage, this energy blockage in my system. Okay, I do think that one way how that has worked out for me is that I didn't always have access to my whole personal strength to do the things that were required of me or the things that I wanted to do. I didn't have access myself to my own willpower. There's the fly. There he was. Did you see that? That was the belly of the fly. And again, what are you doing, you little bugger? I waved at him and he just didn't go. Okay, now he's walking across my own image of myself. He's like right here. Anyway, he's sitting on my nose now. This is so annoying. Are you walking across the camera one more time? I'm going to give him a name soon. Okay, let's call him... What shall we call him? We're not calling him Beelzebub because that's a whole different story. Tom, Dick, Harry. Any one of those. Okay. Where was I? The blockages. I didn't have full access to my whole personal strength. I didn't have any choices in life necessarily. I didn't have necessarily. You need to be able to have a choice. I still don't have a lot of bandwidth when it comes to deciding things that I want to do or be a part of in my life. I'm a rather peaceful person. I'm a rather I like when people get along, with each other and are peaceful and have fun and harmonious and joking and laughing and all that stuff. And harmonious, that's me. I have a Libra ascendant. I'm a Leo with a Libra ascendant and a Mercury retrograde, if that means anything to you. So I tend to just wait for things to come to me. I like it when things are easy. That's the belly of the fly. The camera doesn't focus on it. Thank goodness. That would have been something. And he doesn't stay put, of course. So I'm going to try to get rid of this stupid creature. Excuse for a moment. Can we just move out somewhere else? Yes? We're done? Okay. Maybe I should light another stick of incense and park that underneath here. Then you will see incense instead of fly parts. Okay? Hold on. Get a lighter. Get a little stick. And a holder. Like so. And I have some nice sandalwood here, which I can just light for us, and that should keep the fly away for now. So as I proceed with my Tummo, okay, I actually find that everything comes together in this practice. The psychological as well as the physical residue in my body that has caused a great deal of pain, especially sciatica in my own personal case, and or headaches on and off over time. Not so much recently, but the sciatica and the stiffness and the menopausal, issues with not having adequate energy in the belly, that entails all sorts of things. So you can remedy some of that sort of fairly directly and fairly easily. Menopause problems, can be remedied fairly easily with Tummo, because it brings a whole lot more energy into the underbelly, like right away. And I'm putting this out here, otherwise I'll suffocate with my sandalwood. Lovely, beautiful though. There's other methods that are more specific, the more laser strength, like they're very powerful, that I use to solve the problems behind, because I have like this, like inherited from earlier years blockages especially in my lower back area from carrying heavier weights when I was still working as a sales rep, and driving a fairly heavy van around the country for lots of hours on end, also during the nighttime and so on and so forth, I have sort of mistreated my own back and my, vertebrae and discs and ligaments and muscles in there from the lower back and the hip bones and all that. It could be 10 times worse. It's not that bad, but it still bugs me occasionally. And if I don't walk outside the house for 24 hours, it stiffens up easily. There's probably only very little real permanent damage in my lower back because I always just refuse to continue. If it hurts too much, I will grab aspirins and things to try and continue the work I'm supposed to be doing, but not anymore these days. But back in the day, 10, 15, 20 years ago, that's what I used to do for a while. And before that, there were other issues, and I've had sciatica all my life before. As soon as I got into puberty and I got hormones, then seemingly the headaches and the sciatica came with that. So very strange. And I look at it like as a part of it is really an inherited weakness that I got from whichever of my parents and their ancestors, where we're alive and we're fit enough to continue living, apparently, but it's not without difficulty at all. So there's methods where recently, what I'm trying to get at here, especially recently, I have been doing extremely deep work, which is why you haven't seen me out on my channel at all, because it takes a lot of readjusting to come to terms with the new shape that my life is taking. Yes, I have a lot less pain. Yes, it is a lot easier to stand here where I am standing at my counter with my kitchen over there, my living room over that side, and just have a chat here for however long I'm going to be here, about this or other things. Physically, it's a lot easier. I can feel that there's, a flow of energy now in parts of me, especially that area in my hip bone to my spine, which used to be completely seized up, and it used to be always remote, always slightly painful between the vertebrae. I think I have completely sorted that out. However, to do that, it turns out that it has everything to do with my sacral chakra, which is a completely different wavelength from my bone and its ligaments and all that. My organs are right there, my skin is right here, and my chakra sits on top of that. And I've been trying to get at it from all angles and from all sides. And I think the most effective work that I've done, which I'm not going to go into much detail because I still have other things that I want to talk about as well. As usual, I try to talk about 12 things at the same time. No. The thing is, I have managed to also energize those chakras up to a point. And that is very strange because it feels now like I'm coming into contact with the world for the first time at 59 years of age, which is why you need to adjust. Okay, this takes months to just get used to the fact that you're actually alive. Second chakra activation in whatever shape or form, and maybe it's easier for you. I hope it's a little easier for you. It actually helps with feeling dissociated and depersonalized. I know that those are not the same thing, of course, but they're sort of partners in that kind of it's like two aspects of the same coin as far as I'm concerned. So if you've been depersonalized all your life, or had dissociative trauma responses a lot of the time, where one of the problems I feel with dissociation is that you're already dissociated, and I only notice after the fact, damn it, I'm dissociated. What happened? What happened here that I needed to dissociate from? And then I have to sort of backtrack and or move forward and sort of go in a whole wide loop again to figure out what it was that triggered my dissociation. And when I actually had dissociation phases and what do you call that? Like episodes, I suppose, that lasted a day or half a day or sometimes a couple of days, while being rather completely depersonalized. So it's like the depersonalization was underneath and permanent, but the dissociation was episodal. It was like moments that I actually noticed, and it felt horrible. It feels horrible. Maybe I should just talk about this today. I'm going to leave the Ocean Oracle cards, which I want to talk about, which I came out to talk about to you, to episode number 2 of this thing, okay? Because I need to talk about this first. So the question then to me, immediately to me, is how normal is this? How much does this happen in the world? How many humans cannot figure out who they are inside? To what extent, I've got a ton of questions. To what extent is it that you need to have a certain level of depersonalization, if that's possible? Maybe it's just 1 or 0. You're depersonalized or you're not depersonalized. Or is it a spectrum? Right? What kind of mechanism is it? And then if you're depersonalized, why dissociate? Because it looks like 2 times the same thing. Am I making sense at all? I don't know. I think I was fighting it, but I was so fragmented. That's my explanation for everything, okay? In my life, whenever I think it's a complete fucked up mess and I have no clue how to go about my life, it is like I'm fragmented, okay? The fragments. The only reason that I can't make sense of this, whatever this is, at the particular time, is that I have different parts inside me that respond to things in different ways. And then sometimes they clash, the parts, amongst each other. And often one of them wins out. So it's like there's a visceral part of me that will send out an impulse because something is too much or too frightening often, or too painful. It's either frightening or painful or both at the same time, often both at the same time. I don't pay attention to how that really feels until, because I'm busy, because my other half of me, my rational mind, of course, is always, trying to organize things and keep things together on the outside. And there's like a huge, massive gap between the two of them. So the natural part and the rational part, if you like. That's to start with. And then there's all these like different child selves that care about certain things for some reasons that I don't know anything about, because I abandoned those over and over. Every day of my life I spent, the fly is back and it doesn't care about the sandalwood except being really excited about it. So yeah, flies are funny. It's just, you get down a complete rabbit hole with this, and I wonder why or whether the dissociation was probably a signal. It was a sign to myself that represented everything that was lacking inside in terms of integrating what you need to do, where you need to be a whole person. But because of trying to put all the parts where they belong and put them together and all that, I sort of become aware more and more that in order to be self-aware, all my parts need to be in their homes, in their own places. This fly, I swear to God, is killing me. I'm just going to put this incense smoke straight underneath. It's passing behind the phone now. It should help, because they don't like smoke, do they? All the parts need to be where they belong, in their homes. And then they talk to each other, they're confident, they're open to communicate with each other, they're open together. The parts inside me, it's like a little town or something. And if everything is where it needs to be and it has peace, then I can communicate as a person with the world. Only if my parts 1 to 215, however many there are, are actually, when everybody is at peace, when everybody inside me, all the people, it's like I am my ancestors in a way, all of them, like hundreds. And everything is represented. Maybe that's a very scary thought. I don't mean to scare you. This is just an image, okay? I don't mean to take that too literally. And then again, a lot of what I really say is actually completely literal, It's like this guy over here who's sitting on my kitchen door because I have occasionally referenced the bones in the back also for, spinal problems like I was talking about earlier. I love anatomy. It's just cool, and skeletons are cool. And I have 2 others, the front side and the side view of the same skeleton, and they're posted on my living room door. So anybody who walks in will actually pass the man, the bone man. So getting rid of depersonalization means letting every bit fall into its own place where it needs to be, making a room for a lot of those activities and a lot of those impulses to actually exist and to not be, and some of it is quite subtle. And so some of it recently, I think that I've helped myself immensely by letting myself draw with pencils, with color pencils a lot. I've got this I bought a secondhand, new, not unused, still in its shrink wrapping photo album, like a massive, like this big. What is that? 20, 30 centimeters across or something like that. And it really is bad with the flies. Get on. Shish. I don't know. Everything's open. It's the countryside. Okay, what can I do? And I draw into the photo album. So in the pages, right, I pull out some of those thin sheets that you have in between. Not all of them, some of them. And I pasted in a lot of drawings that I've made, and so on and so forth. And just keep on adding stuff or painting in on them and so on. And it just has been such a joy. I didn't used to feel the joy. I felt no joy. That is being depersonalized. Okay, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here to talk to you about this, because it took my joy. If I don't have any joy, how am I going to share anything with life, with people? How am I going to do anything meaningful with others. It's impossible. I needed to get my joy back without getting into a whole shitload of guilt, which happens, sometimes still. And it's a signal. It's a sign of inside something saying, okay, but I have too much pain to feel joy right this minute. There's pain, there's fear, there's some kind of fright, some kind of anger, some kind of dark side. So I've used all sorts of practices, including working with demons, with integration of personal, karmic demon spirits and things like that. Working with chud is really powerful. Chud is feeding your demons. It's also from Tibet, and I think it is like integrally linked to Tummo. Tummo as the specific version of Kundalini Yoga. It brings about the possibility of offering your surplus energy to a particular, dark side, a dark spirit, like, for example, Asmodeus, who's been with me, because, he's like the entity or the symbol, if you like, of the fight that's been going on for my parents, especially my parents individually and together, as them, and probably also for their ancestors, even though my grandparents and the people before them don't really, they didn't really have this need to be so different that I think Asmodeus brings to my parents and to myself. So I need to always sort of link this whole story to Asmodeus as a principle of the fight to become human. And so it kind of comes full circle with this whole depersonalization, trying to sort out depersonalization, get away from that and resolve it and alchemize it into something to become this person, even at 60 years of age. Just finally, it's a miracle, and it's really hard to figure out. And all I can say is I take it one day at a time, and I use whatever I can to make this happen and to keep it on its track, and to also trust it that it is on its track, that as long as I keep my energy work going, more or less, I will still be on this path, even if I don't understand it, and even if all that I really do is work on these little teeny tiny card things. I'm going to call back my husband. I'm going to call it a day for now, and I will probably, hopefully, see if this is worth watching, what I've just all said, and I hope it makes sense to people. If this is you dealing with dissociation, dealing maybe with depersonalization, because I don't know if one causes the other or what happens really. I don't think anybody really knows. I think you can only figure it out for yourself. What it does, how it really works, when it started, when did it start feeling like this, and so on and so forth. And then some parts of the path are easier than we think, and some parts are a lot more difficult. So it depends. It depends on the days. It's like it's complete virtual circus, sometimes. But to me, it feels like I'm getting there. We're getting to be able to enjoy life a bit more, and to enjoy what it is we're doing. It doesn't matter what it is I'm doing, whether I'm cooking dinner or talking to you or messing around with my cards or doing tarot, which has been wonderfully helpful as well. So astrology, tarot, crystals, all the woo bits, okay? Because I use whatever can help at any day. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'm going to bundle it up right here and see you in the next one, I hope. Okay, see you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.